Are we on? Are we on? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, we have a very special guest. This basketball head has been a staple on the New York City basketball scene since 2008 when he started the ProScholars Athletic AAU program. This basketball head grew the program from one team with a handful of after-school students to a nationally recognized powerhouse. This basketball head has assisted over 300 students into independent schools, 150 plus Division I athletes, and 10 NBA players. Here's a short list of those incredible players, and I'm only going to name a few because there's so many. A.J. Griffiths, Atlanta Hawks, James Bouknight, the Hornets, Cole Anthony, Hornets. Hope I got their teams right just in case they've been traded. Joel Soriano in college at St. John's University, A.J. Hogarth, Michigan State, Joe Toussaint, Texas Tech. And now playing in high school, you got the one and only Basketball Heads Player of the Year, Boogie Flan, Matthew Hodge, Darius Adams, Caden Mingo, Danny Buccia, Jaden Hodge, and Dylan Mingio. You know, I had to name the high school players because that's what I do, baby. Basketball heads. Listen, just imagine all the other supreme athletes that's going to come through that program from years to come. Now, this basketball head has become best-selling author with his new book, Our PSA, offering hope, motivation, and a blueprint for what it takes to become an emotionally, physically, and intellectually healthy African-American male in today's society. We need more of that. Salute to you, King. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show, CEO and founder of ProScholar Athletics, and now author of Our PSA, Terrance Munch Williams.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
Yeah. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, what's happening, Munch? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on for the night.
Nah, man, this is long overdue, man. This is long overdue. My guys been hitting me up, telling me I had to get you on. So, and then once I put you up, I'm getting all these DMs for questions. I'm like, hold on, fam. Let's relax a little bit, But I'm glad that you on, man. I want to jump right into this, man. I know you're a busy man. Who introduced you to the game?
Honestly, my neighborhood, man. I feel like I was one of them kids who, we was playing baseball, and then the finances kicked in when they started asking you to pay for the uniform. And mom said, "Listen, you and your brothers get outside and figure some stuff out." And everybody in my neighborhood, we was just playing on that fire escape and that broken crate. You know what I mean, hanging up on the wall, and then we navigated our way over to the park. And then ever since then, we just was hooping, right? So like, it's not one particular person. I think it was just the neighborhood and what we could afford, and that love for that free basketball, right? So like, it was the easiest economic situation for us to stay out of trouble and enjoy each other, right, as friends and brothers. So yeah, I would say that.
What part of the city are you from?
I'm out of the Bronx. I'm right by Yankee Stadium, 167 Girard Avenue. That whole Munally's Park, all that area. That's where it all began.
No doubt. The boogie down. The boogie down. Y'all created
Uh,
so many memorable legends from out of the boogie down, and it's the home of hip hop. So
Yep.
gotta show love to that for
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Where did your name Munch come from?
Man, I'm big on the junk food side, right? Like
Hold on,
I'm,
yo, yo.
I'm huge on the junk food side.
Word?
Huge, man. Soft chocolate chip cookies, popcorn, Doritos. Listen, man, I love that. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. I mean, I work it out, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a junk food guy.
That's dope. It makes sense. It's
Mom
making
Duke,
sense, bro.
she gave me that as a youth, and it just stayed with me.
Oh man, nothing like getting the name from the family, right? Salute to
Listen,
Mom Duke
she knew something. Yes, sir.
for sure. Now you coming from the Bronx, how was it? How was your transition as a young Terrance, right?
Hmm.
Going into Holderness boarding school in New Hampshire. Like what was that like and how did it prepare you?
I mean, the one thing I will say is I'm fortunate, man. I had great mentors in my life, right? Like I think at a time where you see now like guys that are being navigated by individuals who pretty much don't know the landscape, right? And for me, I had a lot of people that Marsha Scipio, shout out to her. When I met her, she was fresh out of Yale, right? And she was running the after school program called Reach for the Stars that I grew up in. And she kind of helped me navigate my decision to go to prep school after graduation at Taft. So I went to public school for 4 years, and then I went over to Holderness, and they kind of handpicked me to go out there in New Hampshire. And obviously at that time, I didn't know what New Hampshire was and what was awaiting me. But she believed in me. She had a plan, and obviously other mentors, Curtis Washington, and just a bunch of people that was like, look, man, forget basketball for a second. Let's try to get your life on the right track as far as what you can be as a human. And that's before I knew what I can be, right? That's just like somebody seeing something in you that you didn't know was going to come your way. It's the same thing I'm trying to do to these young men that I'm fortunate enough to work with every day. Me and my guys that I work with, my brothers every day. Some people call them staff, I call them brothers. But yeah, that's the bigger picture for me was I just got really lucky that the people that were mentoring me and ushering me down the road, they didn't care about the hoop, right? So everything, all the decisions that they were helping me make was pretty much from a academic lens, a social lens, a network lens, of what you're gonna need later as a person. And honestly, I had no clue what they were talking about until down the line. You like, wow, I'm one of the fortunate ones that came up through the hoop game that didn't have to deal with the stuff that go on behind the scenes.
Man, that's such an awesome story, man. And I tell people all the time, I was at Lincoln for 3 years, and the unfortunate part about that situation is a great school. We did a lot of great things there, but my education didn't kick in until I got to Maine Central Institute in Maine prep
There you
school as
go.
a senior.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep
yeah.
it a buck. I tell
All right.
everybody that.
Same here, man. I mean, I was an average academic student, but I didn't remember nothing. Like, I mean, I was passing, but I was just playing ball, right? And you can find that in the book. Like, there's a topic called "Just Pass and Pass," and it's
Yep.
talking about what we go through as African American athletes consistently on the road up. And to your point, I became real academically aggressive when I got to Holderness and I got in them small classrooms. And I wasn't trying to be embarrassed every day with 7 kids in the class and I don't know the information. So I learned a lot of time management, a lot of study skills, and just more so like did my basketball thing. But I started to figure out like how are these people ahead of us, right? And I learned the space and the ins and outs. Kind of got the cheat code.
Listen, I'm gonna blow another technical foul on that one. Because you giving the blueprint right there,
For sure.
right? We go from 35 to 40 kids. Lincoln's 3,800 kids. So I had like
Yeah.
35, 40 kids in the classroom. Then I get to Main Central, it's 12 to 1. And you
Yeah.
guys stand out. And my mother said you're not gonna go up there and be the only black child not knowing what the hell is going on. So make sure
Okay.
you sit in the front. And I did that and I was able to succeed. So
Yeah.
man, that is definitely one of the blueprints to getting a great education.
For sure. Shout out to you.
No doubt. Appreciate you, brother. So you You accomplished that goal, then you move
Yeah.
on to Wesleyan University.
Yeah.
Did you feel after Wesleyan you was prepared for the real world?
Yeah, no doubt. Like I felt like just who I became, not even like worrying about what I knew academically, just my demeanor and my focus and my drive. And at the end of the day, man, like I knew like I'm not coming back to the block with nothing. Like you go through the process, and where I come from, a lot of times you go into college, people waiting for you to fail, right? The dudes that's standing on that same mailbox is like, man, listen, if you went 4 years and you came out and you back to being broke just like us, what is that saying? So I had a different mindset of like, man, I can't go back to the cot in the crib with moms, right? I got to find a way to get out of this cycle and make sure I get a job, get a career, get some money in my pocket. So when I came out of Wesleyan, I already had the focus, I already had the time management, I already had the hustle in me, right? Like I had that from Mom Dukes from when she was on welfare. You know what I mean? So I just had to learn how to discipline myself enough to find something that I would enjoy. And then when I came out, I got into the Teach for America program and started teaching, first grade for a few years because I knew children and basketball and those are my passions, right? And I just needed something to combine them two together and make some money for it, right? Like my biggest thing was I got a little bit of money in the bank, but not enough to really show people like, hey, I went away and did something. And I needed to make enough money to be there for my family, right? Like I wanted to make sure that we were stable where if anything goes wrong, I'm somebody that they could depend on. So it was a different type of focus. Like when I came from Wesleyan, I met a bunch of people. You know what I mean? I hooped. I made some money. Like I figured it out. You know what I mean? I met some great people that can help me navigate the world. And I was ready. Like when I came out, I was ready. I was 1,000% independent and ready to go. And honestly, shout out to my best friend. When I came home, I slept on his mom's couch for 6 months and stacked. Right, I stacked the money. I went to work every day. Shout out to his moms. I paid them back, and ultimately that was the crush that I needed for a second. You know what I mean? That adrenaline rush had me in the right place. So ever since shit, 6 months out of college, I had my own apartment and was fending and feeding for myself and going from there.
Man, our paths is so similar. When I looked at your bio and everything, I became a teacher, and
Hmm.
a dean as well now,
Yep.
and went through that whole process. But what you did later on, going back to the program that helped you, the Reach for the Stars program that helped you to become coordinator. How did that make you feel as just as a man going back and helping those kids the same way
Yeah.
you were helped as a child?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me it was I needed to be an example of somebody that looked like them, moved like them, came from what they came from, and showed them like, look, man, whatever you think is hard, I done lived it. We can make it. You can get out of here, right? And one of the other thing that it was a level of guilt for me because dealing with a program that when financially my family wasn't in a good place, right? And we would be living in and out of shelters and getting evicted and all of these things. That place, that center, those people, they were always a constant, a safe haven, right? Where I can go and pick up pantry food and from my crib and just have a place to be countless hours and people showing me unconditional love. So I wanted to give back, right? Like that was the only way that I felt like, damn, I could become even with these people, right? Give up my services. Obviously, I know my worth, so I knew that I was underpaid, but that was fine for a period of time. I needed to make sure that the adults that was still working there and myself, we became one. Like we became even, where it was like, look, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do my best. But then my hustle was more so like, I don't want to keep the kids here. I wanted them to get out, right? Like I wanted them to get in a space where they can go into these smaller schools in eighth grade, ninth grade, and give themselves an opportunity that they can see, right? Their parents didn't know, like you normally know the public school, Catholic school option, which are good options. But I just wanted to give them that third option that they didn't realize can be less expensive than the staying home part, right? Like I come from a place where, bro, you 6'7" and you eating up all the food, like versus
Facts.
you go to like one of the schools you went to and it's all you can eat,
Yep.
right? Mom's is she got a lot of months where she not worrying about what's in the refrigerator, right? Like I knew my story of like, hey, I'm away. That's one less mouse to feed, right? That's one less person you worrying about coming home at night and what's in the refrigerator. So I say all that to say, like, look, man, my biggest thing was, how can I give these people back what they gave me from a program standpoint? And how can I affect change? And the people that I'm around, like, don't think it's just me, right? Like, I got a group of men that's like arms rolled up, sleeves rolled up, we ready to roll. So like, they've been right there by my side the entire time. We've been intertwined with each other. So you got a group of men on the same wavelength and the same path. And it wasn't even something that at the time New York City was thinking was okay. We were doing things that was like trailblazing and saying, I don't care if you guys are upset. We're going to do this our way and try to make it work for these young families. You know what I mean? So ultimately, that was my thing. Give back to the program, and then ultimately give back to the kids, right? And their families, and intertwine some of that basketball in there, because that was our passion. We was in that lab every day, 7 days a week.
No doubt, man. We got another Munch in the building. You know what I'm saying? He wanna say great name, great coach. Appreciate everything you're doing, coach, for the No Limit family. Our
Yes, sir.
kids need people like you around. Nah, this is
Appreciate it, man.
thank you. Always. Salute to Rob Taylor in the building. Want to say congratulations, coach. And my guy Ayatollah Beats always counting my texts because they're all positive, right? We use
Yes,
them in
sir.
a positive way on this show.
Appreciate it.
How did you come up with the idea of creating PSA, and what steps did you take to bring it all into fruition? Now, I don't want you to give away your secrets because you're running a damn great program, brother. But give people an idea,
Yeah.
how that process went about.
I mean, the short synopsis is, you got to have the major components of discipline on and off the court, academic structure, right, and expectations, athletic structure and expectations, and then obviously bust your tail to get the finances, right? So everything we did, like, it, when people say we got it out the mud, like, we literally got it out the mud. Like, it wasn't a donor that came in and said, hey, we got a gym for you, we got some money for you, we got this for you. Like, we literally planted the seed, the water, and the sunlight. Like, let's go, let's get to work. And then, ultimately surround yourself by people that are smarter than you and people that want to work just as hard as you. So like, whatever the ideas were, we were consistent with, we knew our vision of what we wanted to do, right? Like, we knew, all right, to get the kids in prep schools, we're going to have the coaches, we're going to call them up, cold call them, and have them come to the games, right? They come to the game, they watch the talent, they learn about the kids, we got their report cards on hand, we got everything on hand to show them, like, nah, this kid is legitimate. And then we get into everything else. But it started and ended with, hey, what do we want to do with these guys academically? What do we want to do with them socially? And then without them knowing, we just said, all right, man, listen, if you do all of these things, then we'll hoop here, we'll hoop there. And it gradually grew from, we playing in Nike Swish to Central Park to 96th Street Wide to, all right, now we traveling to Jersey, and then we traveling to Philly. And then we just, it escalated to the point where we were very successful, but our roots were strong. Like, I think what people, and this is the free game to me, like, people want to rush into dealing with the oldest kids because it's so much work that go into building something that's sustainable. But what they don't realize is, if your roots,
Can't hear you, coach. Can't hear you. You went out. You went out for a second. You went out. Yeah. This is what happens when you run one of the most successful programs in New York. Your phone constantly getting blown up. So I definitely know what it's like, coach. Still can't hear you. Still can't hear you. You want to come out? Come back in? Yeah, because I can't hear you. No. Listen, this is real time right here, right? I know y'all can't hear it, but I can hear it. Y'all hear it later on when y'all watching the program. That phone is ringing.
can you guys hear me now?
Nah, you're perfect. You're perfect.
All right,
You're
sorry.
perfect.
I mean, listen, it's out of control.
No, I get it. I get it. Trust me.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long night. But my point being is, we just made sure our roots was good and what we stood for and our morals and what was our mission statement and all of that. Like, we lived it. Like, we're not just putting something on the website and then not live it. Like, we're like, all right, let's do the work. And that was the thing. I got so many men next to me that love doing the work, right? Like that don't do these type of things. They're not doing the interviews, but all of the stuff that they do, I'm just the face of that situation. You know what I mean? And we do the work, and we found kids that weren't spoiled and wanted to do the work, and that was our calling, right? Like we're gonna be in the lab more than y'all, and we're gonna be, making sure we doing study hall before practices, and it's so many different ways that we went about it that some people do it now, but you gotta have your roots strong, man.
No doubt, man. And the reputation that you guys have in and around the city and around the country is, top tier, man. So
Appreciate it.
definitely, no doubt. Right. I want to jump right into this, right? And then we're going to jump all into your book. I want to give a whole half to this, and then we're going to do the whole rest of the half to the book, right? What would you consider a fake offer?
I would. That's a good question. I would consider.
You went out again. You went out again. The devil is constantly working, brother. So we just got to keep pushing. No, you got to go out, come back out. Put your phone on do not disturb. Yeah. See, y'all see what when we about to give that information, the devil jumps in, right? I hear you, Munch. Yes, we getting it straight now. Definitely. Facts. We getting it straight now. You're gonna come right back in. This is important because a lot of guys, post on their Instagram, or these coaches post on the Instagram
You good?
with these offers. Yeah. And
All right, so
I asked my guy, Brian Nash, who's the program director, of basketball, the basketball director down at IMG from New York. I asked him the same question. So I want to ask you as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing first is, to me, a fake offer is something you can't use, right? Like, if you break it down and say, all right, well, you ask the kid, well, who did you speak to? Oh, no, I didn't speak to anybody. My coach, my trainer, my mentor, my handler, they told me I got the offer. You never spoke to the head coach, right? It's just, all right, you hear this information and you post it, but you're not communicating with the school. Unless the head coach, at minimum, the assistant coach who has the cachet to be able to give you a verbal, then it's not a real offer, right? Like, you gotta make sure that the person is really offering the kid. And if you just go into the ability to be able to use the offer, right? If a kid pick up the phone and you got Clemson last night and you calling Clemson to be like, all right, well, get me on the phone, coach, I want to commit. And now they start ducking you, and they're like, no, we ain't, that's not real. And I'm not, it's a space to utilize that technique, right? Like, I'm not upset that people are like, hey, I'm gonna get these fake offers, but you should be transparent with the kid, the family, or whoever is in a space where you where you're helping this kid, right? The kid should know this offer is not real, but we're gonna use it to generate some momentum. We're gonna use it to get the other schools that come in that's your level. So there's a technique and there's a style to that can be, utilized in the right form or fashion. So you got to just be careful, and you got to be very, honest with the kid and the family and whoever's in charge of helping him navigate this process. Like, you got to just be honest with telling them this is what it is, right? And be honest with the school to let them know, hey, I'm gonna get this offer to this kid, but we're not expecting to use it, right? Like, everybody that's involved with that entity, that offer, needs to be on the same page with it not being real, because the kid would know it's okay. I'm just using it to try to get to the next school.
Man, that's such an honest answer. And it reminds me of how the record business work in some ways, when you got a deal on the table and then you put it out there, start the rumor, and then other people start biting. So I'm glad you kept it real. And speaking of the parent, right, and guardian, right? It is an offer real if the school doesn't contact, if the school just contact the high school coach and the AU program and never contact the parents?
I would still say it's real, but I think the school is not doing a good job, and the AAU program and the mentor are not doing a good job for not making that circle close, right? Like, the parent that's in charge of the kids should know exactly what's going on, right? Like, for me, when they're younger, I do three-way calls where they can call me and I'll get the parent on the line with the kid. right? So now coach can have, because at a certain age you can't call yet, right? Like into the I think it's like June of their sophomore year. But sometimes kids are so good that people want to offer them early. So I'll make sure that the realness of it comes from, hey, you can communicate with me, and then we'll do a three-way so you can communicate with the parent slash kid, and everybody is on one accord. So, and then you make sure the high school coach is on deck, because you don't need the tension between the high school, the AAU, the mom, the parent, the mentor, the trainer. It's a lot of hands in that kitchen. So it's better to just be real transparent up front and organized.
Definitely. Definitely. When did you realize you wanted to write a book, and what motivated you?
Man, I mean, anybody that know me, man, it's therapeutic for me. I'm writing in my journal every day. Like, I'm seeing things, I'm feeling things, I'm going through emotional things, up, down, side to left. I'm learning things as a man. Like every day, I'm trying to, I'm trying to be a consistent learner, right? So I think when COVID came and I just started reading a lot, right? Like you speak to people and you're like, what you doing? What you doing? Oh, I'm reading this book. I'm reading this book, and then I was writing in my journal every day, right? And then next thing I know, I'm like, you know what? This journal can turn into a book at some point. And then the structure of it assisted me in making sure that it became a book, like the multiple choice element, the note pages, the storylines of things that I went through, my close friends, the people that I know. So I looked at it like, just in a sense, a different form of art and exercise, and honestly it was therapeutic at a time where I think most of us was trying to figure out, what are we doing with this time. And for me, I needed something to timestamp COVID, right? I need something I'm big on, hey, I don't want to let my life go away and not be able to say what I did with this year, that year, this month, right? I'm big on, I got to know what I did with this time. So when that came about, I was like, look, you know what? Every day it's going to be one of my activities during COVID. So writing in my journals was basically writing this book until I got everything out that I needed to get out, right? And collectively getting ideas from, PSA alumni and current PSA guys, and my coaching staff and friends and families, about things that we went through as men, right? Young all the way up, and telling these stories to help the next generation come into it and learn from it, or the people that's going through it, right? Like, one of the big topics is like being able to cry, right? Like, I was listening to music today, and one of the songs was just talking about the ability to cry, and I stopped to look at the title, and it's like Black Boy Cry, right? And it's the whole thing about us having the ability to cry, seeking therapy, dealing with anxiety, dealing with depression, just peer pressure, all of these things that we deal with emotionally, that honestly can inhibit us from being the best versions of ourselves, right? Like, we're dealing with so much, and then trying to lead these kids. Like, we gotta have ourselves together before we can kind of be in that environment of trying to help them become emotionally stable, right? Like, one of the things I've seen this year, we do meditation, right? Like,
Mm.
optional meditation on the road with the oldest group. And when I seen, for that short period of time, maybe it's 15 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes on the schedule, the guys would come to the room and it would be everybody. And I started to think to myself, like, damn, like, these kids are doing optional meditation, and this is the regular season on the road doing EYBL. So what are they going through in life? What are they stresses, and how can we help them cope with it? And shout out to my guy Andre Charles, who came up with the meditation time frame, right? And the concept of that, like, if you're not mentally there, you're not emotionally there, how you gonna perform on the court? So for me, it was just, hey man, I need to get all of this anger out. I need to get my young age frustration out, and how do I do it? And I try to put it in the form. And it was that year that I was able to do it. God gave me the time, because it was the first time we didn't have EYBL. When
Mm.
COVID came, we didn't scrimmage nobody, we didn't play in no tournaments. We got 12 guys in college that year, right? All Division I in that 21 class. And I had the time to write a book. That's the moons and the stars aligning for you at the same time, right? Like, how many times is life going to slow down enough for me as a director and a coach to not have to go out on that road? And what was I going to do at that time? So this to me is the COVID baby,
Yeah, man.
you know?
That's so powerful. Listen, we connect on so many different levels, man. And the first thing that stuck out to me uh was some of your titles to your book, right?
Yes, sir.
And let's jump into Dear Mama,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Why do you think that was so important?
I mean, first and foremost, like Pac said it, man. Like we came from a woman, right? Like it started with that. Like I'm my mom ran the crib dolo. Like my dad in and out, whatever the case may be. We got our own qualms, right, throughout life. But to see your mom kind of like figure this stuff out, and I'm in the welfare era, man. I'm in the food stamp, crack cocaine, tokens, and flipping food stamps into a couple dollars. I'm on the line with the box of cheese, and I'm in that era, right? So I'm seeing moms figure it out, right? Like she's not going to the 9 to 5. She figuring out how to manage 4 kids, close in age, right? Like me and my two brothers and my sister, we close in age. It's like back to back to back, basically. You know what I mean? So it's a Chicago Bulls championship run at the end of the day. Shit is just back to back, right? So she managing that and doing it on minimum. So for me, it was always, all right, man, without this, what you got? You got nothing without moms, right? And now you look at it and be like, because I seen how she got down, I know where my drive come from. I know where my hustle come from. Like I said in the book, I felt like she was Nipsey, R.I.P. Before that, like that mindset, like when you could see your moms figured out this journey with no assistance but the government in some form or fashion, bro. There's nothing that can stop me, right? Like I'm sharp. So I seen like that's organic. That's inside of me, right? That's my DNA. My mom's she a hustler. You know what I mean? So I think that storyline of like, nah, she gonna always be number one, right? Like, dear mama is nothing could happen to her, right? Like somebody do something, y'all know the results to that. Like you might look at the multiple choice, but you know what happened. You know what I
Facts.
mean? So
Facts.
we don't, what's already done don't need to be explained. But I mean, to this day, that's the vibe between myself and her. She come first.
That's so real, man. And definitely salute to moms.
Yes, sir.
Salute to all the mothers out there that's sacrificing, and all the parents, doing
Yeah,
what they
man.
got to do for their children. Another one I thought just that jumped out of me is black on black crime, right?
Real.
Us being educators and coming from the neighborhood that we come from, it's a constant thing that we have to deal with. How did you go about explaining that, and what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is at the end of the day, man, like I want love for my people. Like my people show me nothing but love. Like I'm running a agency, a program that's majority African American families and kids and all of that. Like I'm all for that, right? But I'm also cognizant enough to understand like some of our traumas are coming self inflicted, and before we can kind of like go outside our own culture and blame someone else, sometimes is we got to dig deep enough to see what are we doing ourselves, right? Like how many times are we bumping into each other in a Chinese restaurant? It escalates into arguments, it escalates into violence with the gun, and it escalates into death, and then it escalates into more deaths for retaliation. So like there's so many normal transitions and transactions going on between us that before we can get to these people, we got to make sure our stuff is good, man. Like, and that's where I'm at. Like, and I'm not more holy than thou. Like I grew up fighting my fighting my blood brother, right? And brothers and friends, and that obviously went into the neighborhood and outside the neighborhood. You learn how to use violence as a tool, which is not always good now, right? But like I
Facts.
said, my thing is we got to look at ourselves and figure out how can we support each other and do the right thing to the best of our abilities before we can start saying, oh man, these people, yeah, that's the easy, to me, that's the easy out, right? Like, I don't want to go do nothing because white man holding me down, the man, right? Like
That's another
that,
title. That's
yeah,
another
like,
one of your
yeah,
chapters.
like
Fact.
it's the narrative that makes us lazy in a sense, right? Like,
Yep. Yep.
all right, well, if the man gonna hold me down, well, shit, where the woman at? I need to figure that out. I'm just gonna work around it, like work around it, figure it out. Like, don't let nothing stop you from chasing your goals. And you're gonna fall down, like we all gonna fall down. It happens, but ultimately, you can't sit there and just let excuses stop you from trying. And that's my thing, right? Like, let's work together versus each other. Like being in this position that I'm in and the programs in and the guys that I work with, it's going to come with its fair shake of scrutiny and, major book. you know, even doing that, writing a book is going to come with its fair shake of people not believing that it's going to be quality until they pick it up, in my opinion. But you got to be willing to jump outside the box and try some stuff for yourself and help people. Just help people, right? Like trying every day to figure out how to help people.
No, that's so real, man. And I think, you know, the fact that we've been hated on so much that we start to get disgusted at the man in the mirror, right? And you talk about that in
Yeah,
your book as well. And then the people that we're mad at is kind of a reflection of ourselves, and we don't know how to handle that. And
yeah,
we think that's not masculine to kind of talk things out and talk things over, and we result to the violence, which is crazy.
yeah. It's the one tool that we all learned. But now can we learn these other tools, right? And like I said, shout out to my guy Dre. We always talk about what's in your toolbox when adversity come. And I had to learn that, man. Adversity gonna come every day. What's gonna be in my toolbox to deal with that? And I'm trying to teach the men that I'm dealing with, the young men that I'm dealing with, man, that thing is coming every day in a different form or fashion. Prepare for it, react to it, be smart about it. And that's the thing about the book. It's about decisions, right? Like every action causes a reaction, and how do you think things through before you decide on what you want to do? Just having the ability to slow things down and make a conscious decision is so powerful. From, man, my boss pissed me off, I'm walking out. Or, man, you know what? Let me take a little 5-minute walk, calm myself down, think this through. They tell you don't quit a job until you got another job, right? So, like,
Facts.
there's so many decisions that when we wake up in the morning, God blessing, we got to make decisions all day long. And in my personal belief, those who make decisions long term, those who can think it further down the street, they make the best moves, right? And non-emotional decisions are potent. And just knowing I got 6 options or 7 options in this given space, I ain't boxed in, right? It might be a maze, I'm not boxed in, but ultimately, once I get to a space where I can know I got all these options aside from the violent part, you're gonna defeat the world.
Another thing that I preach to my kids every day is that smart is the new cool, right?
Yes,
Because
sir.
I tell them, I said, look at most of the cool kids that everybody look up to.
Mm-hmm.
Those are dudes with the bad grades. Those
Mm-hmm.
dudes that's not graduating, but they're the cool kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm touching on the points, man, because those are the things that kind of stuck out to me
Yeah.
immediately.
I mean, you see it, right? Like when you get into a certain age range where, yo, the dude that was selling the drugs, no shade on that person, right? He just, the women not attracted to him at a certain level where they're like, yo, this dude is into stocks and he's into reading and he's into, he could balance a checkbook. He got a nice career. He's smart. He's funny, right? Probably became very witty because he's doing a lot of reading and learning vocabulary is sharp. Like to certain spaces, that's the new cool, right? Like, if I'm not on the court, I'm courtside because of what I'm doing, right? I
Right.
might be the CEO or something, and being intelligent and being and intelligence it comes in many forms, right? Like you can be an artist, and you can be somebody that has a museum and has the Basquiat's and all of this type of stuff, right? So like you can be intelligent and it be cool, right? Like now you seeing people that like, yo, this dude is in shape and he's sharp, and it's not the dude that was the class clown no more, where it was like, yo, he just bugging out because he don't know nothing, right? That's why he acting out. But when you get to a certain level, intelligence is a lethal weapon, right? Like people want that. People, whether it's the women, whether it's other adults, you're attracted to being sharp, and it could be street smarts, right? Like street smarts are leaders. Like I mean, think about the most powerful men in the world. Obama is a sharp dude, right? Dr. King, sharp, right? Like there's people you in awe of when they speak, where you like, damn, this dude is sharp. It ain't, oh man, he got the newest Louis on. It's this, your mind, right? Like, how do you think and how do you move? Like, I find myself in awe sometimes of the men that I'm working with when they saying things and they moving in a certain way, and it's different categories, right? Like marriage and being a father, and you learning from these guys, and you went all like, damn, they got that category down pack, right?
Right.
And that's the new cool, being smart. And like I said, smart is a word that has various definitions for everybody.
Yo, that is so real, man. That's so real, right? So another thing that stuck out to me was the N word, right? So let me give people just a little short history, right? When we talk about the N word, right? There's niggas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is king in Ethiopian, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
Semitic language, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
got and Nigar, right? There's different pronunciations for that. And then you got people who were colonizers here pronouncing the name wrong and just totally messed it up, right? And then it
Mm-hmm.
became a word of endearment,
Yeah.
like in the 70s that was pushed on our people. Because
Yeah.
we never really named ourselves, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
named us they called us niggas, then it went from colored, then it went to black. Well, James Brown's helped us out with that, right? I'm
Mm.
black and I'm proud, and they tried to destroy him for that. And then Jesse Jackson came up with the phrase African American, right?
Okay.
So we never really identified with anything. So
Yeah.
I don't give people a pass for that because I tell kids, nah, no, I'm not that,
Yeah.
right? What is your thoughts on the N word?
Yeah.
Because it's still to me, I still don't think it's a cool thing, and I don't refer to any of
Yeah.
my brothers in that form.
I mean,
Everybody's a king to me.
yeah. And I start from this premise, right? Like one thing I think most people know, like the opposite race, opposite culture, you're never getting that pass, right? Stay away
Facts.
from that. Stay away from that word, right? Now, how we using it? To your point, how we using it in the crib amongst each other? That's like you said. That's a replacement in some people's minds for king and my brother and all of these different words and thesaurus in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, I use it, and I'll be a hypocrite to not say I do, right? But I'm not using it from this. I'm more so like that's my guy, right? And da da da. And I got to get better at that, right? Like I got to get better at utilizing shit at minimum your name, right? And then king and salute and OGs and the older guys and legend and to them people that are legends, right? And they form and they whatever their form of fashion is, but it's something that I definitely got to get better at of not just floating out there. If I'm gonna hold people accountable for that, right? And I
Right.
don't want to be a hypocrite and be like, oh, you can't use that word, da, 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 and I'm throwing it out there. So it's something that for me, I got to grow. I got to get better. One of my coaches, Coach Ike, he's big on we ain't using that word, right? And he'll check you every time. And I remember us doing it when we was putting a dollar in the jar. Every time, every time you use the word to try to, get yourself better. So, great question though.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. Listen, you touched on Tupac, who I had a chance to get to know and hang out with. Then you
Yeah.
touched on my guy, my brother from Brooklyn, Biggie,
Yes,
Life
sir.
After Death. And again, before you jump into that, why so many hip hop terms? Because I want to let some, I'm working on some things
Mm.
myself, but when I'm reading the titles, I'm going, is this like my kindred brother? Nah, for real, brother. I've never, I think
Yeah.
we probably met once. I think I met you once.
Okay.
At Christ the King, had your book out there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, right in the front. You're right. Last
Right.
year.
So that was just like, but hearing you speak and going through your information, I'm like, man, what made you come up with that?
With the titles?
Yeah, no, yeah, the titles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop do you from the Bronx,
Yeah.
obvious, right?
Yeah.
What was that section about the Biggie Life After Death?
I mean, it's just the concept, man. Like I lost two major brothers maybe a year ago, and my man 40 and my guy Hicks, and one of the things with that life after death, one is permanent, right? We know that, right?
Fact.
But I think that in that, we're trying to figure out, like, man, when this happens, what happens, right? Like, how do you mourn these people? How do you represent them? How do you send them away in the right fashion? But then, more importantly, when they're gone and they're buried and they're in heaven, right? What are you doing after that, right? Like, what are you doing to make sure their family is okay and keep their legacy going? And there's so many things that I'm trying to accomplish to make sure that I do my end, I do my part, right? The program does its part. Like, these are people that gave back to me as a man, and then the program itself. So that concept of like, when life is over, what are we doing, right? And you pour into you trying to pour into all these people, and you see it sometimes. Like, one of the biggest things that happened in last year was like, I felt like, because of my work ethic, the world didn't let me grieve for these two men, right? It rushed me into, all right, Munch, you need to come on because we need you to do some stuff, right?
Mm.
And it wasn't like, hey, I need to clock in, right? I'm not 9 to 5. It was more like, all right, I got you. Are you done? Are you done with this situation? Because I got some stuff that I need. And that kind of like rubbed me wrong, but it also made my skin even that much tougher to know, like, man, it's a cold world. Like, people, somebody that leave, they ready to move on because it don't hit them. But it then also makes you close to new friends of that level, right? Like, after the death of them two men, I said to myself, this type of pain shouldn't be normal, right? And I have to go through this, God willing, a lot more times with the people that I'm close to, right? Like, when I love hard, but I love a small amount of people at that level, right? But that's pain that's coming, for all of us. So now we get into the place when you're trying to make sure, hey man, life insurance, a little pot of money that's there to try to make sure everybody's buried in the right form of fashion. The stresses are not there on the family at that time. So you learn in that space. But like I said, life after death is it's serious.
Man, one of the reasons why I started this platform and happened during COVID, because a lot of my guys was passing away.
Yeah.
Chris Brooks, Anthony Duck, Lee Green, Mo Kirby, Dave Edwards. They're not here to tell their stories, man. So I want to make sure, like, guys like yourself who are doing
Right.
amazing things, and other ball players and greats and legends get a chance to tell their story now, right?
Maybe.
So nobody have to tell it further.
Definitely. Definitely.
White mentor.
Whew. It's powerful smoke right there.
White mentor. Let me tell you, and I know you gotta go soon. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep this brief.
You got it.
I always tell my kids, the amount of men that helped me when I was growing up, right? There was few black men.
Mm.
Thomas Diggs was one. Coach Breeze was another. Um, you had Gil Reynolds played a real important part, and that was just on the basketball, and it wasn't really mentoring, but watching him, just him being that figure that he was, and how he set the tone, and his legacy kind of helped me. But mostly it was white mentors that kind of
Yeah.
helped shape me into the man that I became today.
Yep.
What was your perspective on that, or what is your
It's
perspective?
Yeah, no, I mean, my journey through that is so complicated because the person that I considered to be a mentor when I was younger, from the Caucasian descent, also became someone that was trying to, in a sense, stop the bridge that I needed to go over, right? And when I'm younger, I don't have all the information to know that this person has good things about them, but they're also of power to use me and my situation, you know, for their benefit. And then as I got older into adulthood, and I felt like, hey, I've done all of these things to assist you, the agency, and people. I need to flap my wings. I need to move on. I need to do more. I need to, challenge myself. I felt like that person could have been more understanding and more free to help and say, all right, go ahead out there and figure it out. So it did put a damper on the situation because even just in the book, a lot of times we grow up with people telling us, man, don't trust in white people, right? And to this day, I have phenomenal people that are Caucasian that help this program, help me, are smart, are there for me in so many different forms of fashion outside of PSA, right? Just friends and people that I consider smart adults that I can be there and talk through, right? Talk through things. But that line of like, hey man, you I look at you in this way, and then it turns out that you kind of was trying to be somebody holding me back, right? Like it creates all of these different emotional, stigmas, and are my friends right that said, see, I told you them people are always bad, when I know that's not true, right? Like I went to boarding school, I went to college, I've been in the real world. Like I know that everybody's not the same. All black people not the same, or white people not the same. Self-explanatory. But in that space of mentorship, to let your guard down, to trust someone, to have your best interest at hand when you didn't have the capabilities to also navigate certain to get through certain doors, right? And to have this person have the power in a sense to try to stop you from doing what you know you need to be doing, what God's plan was for you, right? Like that's a hard thing to deal with, and then still deal with racial tension, right? So like, yeah, I mean, that storyline is ill, because it's just like that thing of people saying, see, the man, right? When the person that I'm referring to, I never looked at him like, oh, he's one of them, he's the man. But your actions were showing something different at that time, right? And you never know why people do things in that moment, because they want to selfishly keep talent, right? Like you're a talented person helping out and doing right. I don't want to lose you for my business. But I just felt like it could have went a different way.
We could do a whole show on that.
Woo.
We could do a whole show on that.
Yes, sir.
I've talked to a lot of coaches that experienced what you experienced, some top-notch coaches who was part of programs who felt like they was being held back,
Mm-hmm.
and and had a leash on them,
Mm-hmm.
because of they just felt they wanted to keep control, but have that person there to push the business,
All right.
but give them just enough to eat, but not enough to sustain
Yeah.
and do it on your
Yeah.
own.
Give you a raise, but I don't want to change your salary.
Facts.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's what made me become an educator, because
Yes,
I
sir.
was in corporate America dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually the token N-word, as they would say.
Yes, sir.
Facts.
Yes, sir.
What is real manhood to you?
I mean, I think it starts and ends with whatever you say. You got to do it, man. Like I got an issue with people that say they're gonna do something and not do it. We're not perfect, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gonna take out the garbage in 10 minutes and then turn to 15. Like, that's small things, right? But like, I don't deal well with people that's like, hey man, meet me at here at 2:30 and 2:30 is 5. Like, or
That's so real. That's I'm a stickler for that. But go
yeah,
ahead, brother.
like,
My bad.
you know what I mean? Like that, when it's all said and done, your words gotta match your actions, right? Like consistently, for better or for worse. Like there was times when I knew, like, man, this dude getting off right now, right? But I said that I'm gonna do X, so I gotta do it for myself, right? So I can look myself in the mirror. Like I want to be, to the best of my ability, I want to be known as somebody that, hey, if Munch said he gonna do it, unless God come down and move him, he gonna do it. Like you don't gotta worry about it. Like
Facts.
that's what I want to be to as many people that I can be to, right? Like be that consistent lean on, where you don't have to overthink it and press yourself about certain things. But like I said, that to me, that's the start and that's the finish, man. Like be careful how you use your words. Make sure your actions is matching your words to the best of your ability, and do what you say you're gonna do, man. That's it. Like, and that's what I try to do. Like I said, I'm not perfect, but I try to do that for my guys. Like, yo, practice at 3. If I walk in there at 3:05, all hell breaking loose. But they like, Munch, what happened? I gotta be on time. I gotta be ready. I gotta hold it down. If I tell them I'm coming to your high school to see you, I'm gonna be there. If I telling them, hey man, listen, I'm gonna be at your graduation, I'm gonna be there. So if you bump into any of them dudes, whether they current or alumni, and you ask them like, hey man, is Munch a man of his word? I want them to hopefully say yes, right? Because what else we got?
That's
What
real.
else we got? Right? Like you didn't have to text me 20 times. It
No.
was, hey, here's the date, here's this, boom, boom, let's ride. Right now, you dealing with somebody, oh yeah, man, I know I said 7, but I gotta go do something else. Now you like, whoo. right? So that to me, that's a sign of true manhood. Like living your word and your actions matching each other consistently.
No doubt, brother. I'm such a stickler for that, man. Listen, I know we're gonna wrap this thing up soon, man, but with all the things that you said, all the things that you stand on, 10 toes down.
Don't forget to say no merger, man. You gonna say 10 toes down, you gotta say no merger. Piss them off. You know what
No
I mean?
merger.
So 10
Facts.
toes down, no merger.
Facts. Facts.
Let's go.
Listen, for all of our young kids watching, for all the coaches that's watching, the legends that great that watch the show, tell everybody, why is it so important to bet on yourself?
Yo, man, me and my boys always be laughing. They be like, something going crazy and you complaining. They be like, yeah, you can go work on that now. You could do that 9 to 5, or you could try something yourself. Like, when it's all said and done, betting on yourself, it's going to give you the best chance to look yourself in the mirror. Whether it went great or it looked bad, right? You cannot point to nothing else and say, man, that thing didn't work because of this. And when you just betting on yourself saying, look, I believe in who I am, it's going to give you that motivation every day to wake up and whatever it is, go after it, right? If you're an artist, if you're a painter, if you into construction, if you're into real estate, when you betting on yourself, whatever that is, right? And obviously in 100 different forms of fashion, right? But it gives you no outs, right? It gives you no scapegoats. It gives you no crutches. It gives you mano y mano, you in that boxing ring, sparring with yourself, trying to figure out how to get to the next move, right? How to climb that ladder. And it, like I said, when you betting on yourself and you win, that should give you a rush that cocaine couldn't do. You know what I mean? So bet on yourself in whatever it is, whether it's marriage, whether it's fatherhood, right? Whether it's whatever it is that you feel like I'm about to bet on myself on this situation, whether it's dealing with stocks, whether it's taking a pay cut for another job, right? Because when you do that, you're gonna go harder, right? You're gonna go harder when you look yourself in the mirror and say, man, I made this decision. Having the ability and the control over your decisions is a powerful thing, right? And you're going to go hard. That's why I take it to.
And that's the name of our theme song, Go Hard or Go Home.
Yeah, it is.
Facts.
Yeah, it is.
Facts. So I want everybody to look at the bottom screen. Boom. Do that real quick. Right? Our PSA, new book on sale right now, all platforms.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing right here, what we promoting tonight.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, man, and it's been real successful. And like I said, it ain't even about the funds because it's on Amazon. So if people don't want, if you don't got the $20 to go get it, get in contact with me, some form of fashion. We gonna get it to you, man. Whether it got to go in the mail or you see me and I got it next to me, you can have it for free. Like I said, reading, that's a powerful thing, and we're not gonna let the that myth of you want to hide something from a brother, put it in the book. We're not gonna let that keep going. Like I got a lot in my mind.
Not at all. Look, Coach. Look.
Yes,
look.
sir.
These from all ball players right here. Look.
Yes, sir.
Look. All ball player books.
There you go.
All ball players from New York City.
Yeah.
Male and female. Look at that.
Man, that's major. And you know what that does?
It's all from this year. This all from this year.
And my point to that is it gives our people something we want to read.
Fact.
We get the chance to call each other up. Man, what you reading? Yo, you need to go check out Mellow book and check out our PSA and check out Tracy book, right? From the cradle to the grave. So it's a lot of literature out here that should be fun for us.
Nah, man. Let me tell you something, brother. I enjoyed you, man. I can't wait to meet you again in person, present you with your picture. Hope you love it, man. My artist Jamel Powell did a good job on that for you today, man.
Appreciate him.
Much success, brother. Much success. And I want to let you know from us here at Basketball Heads, man. Yo, we proud of you, brother. We proud of you, brother. You're a great example for our kids. You're a great role model, and you making waves.
Thank you.
Right, and you're doing it the right way. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Give everybody my love, and give my boy Boogie a shout out. I got a trophy for Boogie. I think it's up here somewhere.
Big shout out. It
looks like that. Yeah. He won Basketball Heads Player of the Year.
There you go. He got some He got some work he got about to do right now in City of Palms. But big shout out to Boogie, man.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And everybody out there, man, we love y'all, man. Your coach, man, I'm going to see you and keep doing your thing, brother.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Yeah. Man, see that? See what hard work and perseverance does? No matter what your background is, no matter what the struggle was, if you work hard, you'll understand that struggle is only a short part of your life because you have the rest of your life to change all the things that were there prior to your change. I'm going to say that again. All my people out there that's in a struggle right now, just understand that you can change your situation. I hope y'all enjoyed our story tonight, our conversation with the CEO and founder of ProScholars Athletics, Terrance Munch Williams. And hopefully you can be inspired by his story, inspired by his journey, and inspired by the things he's still doing today. Well, again, on the promoter's book, our PSA on Amazon right now. And if you don't have the money, he said he'll give you a free book. See? That's what real New Yorkers do, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for everything. Well, we're about to get out of here. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and you've been watching Basketball Heads Live, the podcast on NYC Basketball History, because we are the official home for New York City basketball. And as we always do around this time, peace.